So my name is Mhla, and I am originally from Malawi, which is in Central Africa. I've been in the UK, I think 28 years now, and I have moved from place to place, but the place I came to settle was Manchester. And sooner than later, I realized why I was here, and it sort of developed a passion that I wanted to contribute to the community that is here. But I didn't know this in the 20 odd years I've lived in Manchester. I didn't know this until 5 years ago when I was faced with a challenge, a personal challenge, and I found myself in a situation where I was homeless with 3 children, fleeing from domestic abuse, no job at hand because it was during COVID, and I was made redundant by the organization that I was working for. And Angels of Hope for Women are the ones who helped me quite a lot. Even though I was triaged through the system, so I went through social services, the homelessness team with Manchester City Council, but having the support of a local community organization made the whole difference. And I didn't know the beauty in having a local organization intervene in a system process for welfare support until I met Angels of Hope. And after 6 months of just being a service user with Angels of Hope, they empowered me. The CEO herself, Leah, empowered me to look for work. And she said, why don't you do volunteer work? For now, you volunteer with me as a chair of board of trustees. And up until that moment, I hadn't really sat as chaired anything. I had no idea, no clue whatsoever. So she put me to a task. I had to learn a little bit more about what a chair of board of trustees looks like and what my responsibilities was, and governance was one of them. It is through governance, trying to adapt and learn about governance, that the passion now about community work came through, because it was me being responsible for someone's vision to help somebody else. So I was tasked to hold on to the vision of Angels of Hope. So I volunteered with them. I chaired a board of trustees for about 5 people in there for about 2 years on. And then in the midst that, I got a job opportunity to work for Stockport City Council. And I was working in their charity arm, Stockport Homes Foundation. And I had great experiences, great exposure. And I had these skills that I was taking from Angels of Hope, volunteering skills, that I turned into skills that I was using in my career and my profession. And sooner than later, if I do say so myself, my name became a common name within departments. You know, the neighborhood team, the independent living team, they would mention my name because I had more insight in an area that they didn't really understand, which is the diversity of the community of Stockport and the people that they were serving as their tenants, as the Stockport Council tenants. So I really thrived from having that combination of the background from Angels of Hope, as well as being in a setting where my skills, my experience, my lived experience was actually very valuable. And so from that, fast forward, I have worked with organizations. I've worked with Manchester City Council. I helped them set up family hubs when they were piloting family hubs about 3 years ago. Helped them set up, got their action plan rolling, and then the conception, and then into 3 family hubs, Wythenshawe, Cheetham Hill, and Longside. I've met quite amazing colleagues. I've worked with great organizations that have created partnerships that I've moved with them as I changed organizations. Following that, I worked for Save the Children. And this was place-based projects, which helped me again develop that passion and that in-depth understanding of the communities that live in Manchester. And I worked particularly in the Longside area with Save the Children, met a lot of other new organizations, and from that I've built like a network of partnerships that again I've carried on, and I've learned quite a lot from the local leaders, the community leaders, from the service users that they serve, from the community itself. I've had to experience, like, sort of firsthand what somebody else is experiencing when they talk about poverty. When a mom, a single mom of 5 children is struggling with the 2-child limit, I've learned firsthand experience of the impact of that in the community. So from that, I learned a lot about policy work, and influencing work, systems leadership work, system share, and I became very, very passionate about doing that. Following on from that, I got approached about a year and a half ago about a project that Public Health and Barnardos were running, and it was just right up my alley. It was work trying to promote the trauma-informed practice within Greater Manchester. So what we have now as a collective framework, trauma-responsive Greater Manchester framework, which is being worked on not just by Manchester City Council, but the boroughs around it as well, as far as you can go, Bolton Council, Salford Council. And I work within the Manchester City Council with Public Health, but with Barnardos as a commission partner. Now, with the work that I've been doing there, again, I brought that expertise that I had. I brought that network of organizations that I've learned and I've created partnerships and friendships with and brought them into this, because after all, a community of practice is a vehicle. People learn from each other. We learn how to be empathetic, how to understand, how to feel people's shoes and be able to translate their concerns and be able to represent their voices when you're making decisions elsewhere. So I took their voices, represented to Public Health, represented to Barnardos, and I was able to highlight the main concerns in key areas such as Adwick, Gorton, Cheetham Hill, Blakely, and be able to translate those into strategic plans that the council could actually promote the practice of trauma-informed work through them. So that's where I am today. What inspired me to do the work that I do today goes beyond just the experiences that I've had with people or my lived experience. 5 years ago, I was in a place where I thought any job would do. And when like I mentioned, when I was growing up, I didn't have that opportunity, but my mother role modeled that. And now, just last week, I was speaking to somebody else who was asking me, who does this in your family? And I had to really take a step back. But when I look back, my grandmother used to do the same thing. She loved working with communities. She liked to bring communities together, to link them together. And she was an English teacher in a country where English is not the first language. She was bold enough. She was a female teacher at a time that women weren't holding jobs like that. She was very vocal and poised when she speaks to other people. And when she speaks, people would stop and listen. And I feel like that's the impact that she had, and I stand on her shoulders. So moving past, I've seen how my own communities have struggled, and I think, who's going to be that person if it's not me? So in a way, my own ancestors, seeing my grandmother, seeing my mother, they've all inspired me through the work that they used to do with communities, not in this setting, but in a different setting. And I thought, if they were courageous enough to do this, why am I not? Why am I not that voice when somebody needs somebody else to speak for? Why am I not in that room when a decision needs to be made about somebody that is not in that room? And so I've thrived. I've been inspired by that push that I need to be that person that is meant to be there when needed. So challenges that I've met. First of all, I'm a Black African woman, and then I'm a woman by gender, and then also not having probably the privilege or access to certain developmental aspects or opportunities that others would have had if they're not a woman or they're not a Black African woman. So that really put me down. I used to look at life and think, that can never be me. I need this qualification, or I need an MBA, I need this, I need that. But again, all of that was sort of a mindset thing that I've set for myself, and it limited me for a very long time. The moment I started having experiences where I was able to speak up and be heard, it became clear to me that, all I have to do is this. Just learn the art of communication and communicate to the right people. And if the people are not listening and access as a challenge itself, then I move to a room that listens, or I find another way of getting through to those people. In the work that we do, when you think of community work, funding is always a concern. So, but that really, having that challenge of I want to support this community to do this, but we need a certain amount of money. what that does for me is that it instills this resourcefulness. So that it develops the skill of what else can we use? Who can we contact? Which space can we use that is free? How can we find these resources? Who's donating this? Oh, I know this partner that I know I worked with a long time ago. So just being able to move things around and bring the resources together, because that's everyone's challenge. I think in the current climate, we're talking about every organization that is out there that is doing volunteer work that struggles with funding. But the encouragement is always that together as a community, you can always be resourceful. You can always lean when you don't know the answer to something, you can lean onto other people. As decision makers, when we talk about the value of lived experience, I think we underrate it so much. So when the one thing I really want to change in the system is the way we translate lived experience and then use it as a resource and then bring an output that creates impact in the community where we got that lived experience data from, whether it be data or the studies that we did. But right now, I feel like we go out in the community, we run consultations, we get these case stories, we take this lived experience data, we go and we act as if it's influencing policy, but we've already made a pre-decision before we collected that data. So it's just like an added chapter, it's an added paragraph to the policy that we've developed. But really embedding lived experience in a policy, that is what is going to transform the system. The system will now be humanized. It will start, working in a way that it understands the way the community is working. What struggles are they having? Why are they having this challenge? And get to the real bottom cause of what the problem is really. But lived experience is just scathed on the surface and not valued the way we depict it to be valued. So that's one thing I would like to change.